It's August the 29th, 1997. My name is Charlie Henson. I'm interviewing Samuel Tessler at the 51st 12th Armored Division reunion in Columbus, Ohio. Mr. Tessler, first of all, could you give me your full name and where you were born and the date of your birth?
Oh, Samuel Tessler, born in St. Louis, May the 26th, 1924.
Tell me, what was your mother's name and then your father's name?
My mother's name was Anna Eisenstein Tessler. My father was Azrael Tessler.
Okay. Where did they come from?
My father came from Russia, my mother from Romania.
And then they met here in the States? Is that it?
They met, yes.
Okay. Where had they settled? Where had the family settled?
Here in St. Louis.
What did your father do? What was his profession?
He had, for a while he had a general store. Then again after that he had a grocery store. The general stores were out in small towns. The grocery store was in St. Louis.
And how many years did he do that? Was that his whole life's career?
Yeah, well, when he first came over to the United States, he used to more or less put a pack on his back over in Illinois around the Glen Carbon area and go around from house to house selling merchandise. Then after that, he had a general store and then the grocery store.
Okay. What was the name of the grocery store?
City Food Market.
Okay.
It took a while to remember that one.
Okay. Do you have brothers and sisters?
I have a brother.
And what is
His
his name?
is Martin.
Martin. And he's younger or older than yourself?
He is 22 months younger than I.
Okay, tell me about where you went to school and get me through high school.
I started school in St. Clair, Missouri. It's a small town about 50 miles from St. Louis. Then when I was about 12, I guess, 11, 12, we moved back to St. Louis, and I went to Hempstead Grade School, and went there to Soldan High School. And after that, I got into the Army.
Okay. Did you you graduated?
Oh, yes.
In what year was that?
42, yes. 42. Trying to remember that. I think it was.
Did you enlist or did you get drafted?
No, I was drafted.
Drafted?
I was drafted. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Tell me about being drafted, where you went to your basic training.
I was drafted. I went through Jefferson Barracks is where I got drafted, took my physical. My basic training was with the 44th Infantry Division at Fort Lewis, Washington.
I haven't met anybody that went to Washington.
Oh, yeah, there on a clear day, you could see Mount Rainier. But we only had maybe 2 or 3 clear days in the 3 months I was there. It drizzled almost every day.
Do you remember your captain or your sergeant or any of that?
I don't remember anything more or less from that basic training.
If you look back in your thoughts, what was your basic feeling during, how do you view that time now?
I don't think I had any feelings. I just, whatever they said to do, I did. I can't remember any thoughts or feelings that I had at that time.
Okay, then where did you go after Washington?
After that, they went into the ASTP program, the Army Specialized Training Program, down in El Paso, Texas College of Mines. And I was there until they closed up the system. Then into the 12th Armored Division.
How did you find out that they were closing the ASTP programs? Was it somebody came and told y'all, or was it rumors, or?
No, somebody came and told us, I think. It took a while. They just wanted to close it down, I think. I don't recall any delays of any kind.
And then where did they send you then?
Whoops, where'd they go? Yeah, Camp Texas.
Camp Barkley.
Camp Barkley, Texas.
How
I had to
many of
think
the
on that
men
one.
how many of the men in your ASTP ended up going to Barkley? Did all of them go there? Or?
Most did, yes. Most, because we made up quite a, just judging from the breakfast we have here, you could tell how many came. There was a lot.
What was your first impression of Camp Barkley, Texas?
I hardly remember it. If it wouldn't be for pictures, I don't think I would remember it.
Do you remember the rain or the weather, or was it just?
No. I can, but from pictures, I can remember, what the barracks and things and everything looks like. But except for that, I remember very, very little of it.
When you got to, do you remember the ship that you went over on?
I'll never forget that one.
Okay, tell me about your trip over the Atlantic.
Oh, on the Empress of Australia. I heard different stories about what kind of a ship it was, from where it came from and everything. But I remember a few items on it. Number one, we slept in hammocks. And I have never slept in a hammock before on that. That was the first time I've ever did that. And also, I think it was on that ship. It was either that one or the one coming back on. I have more or less a guard duty position or something like that. And it was right at the front of the ship. And it would go up and down like that. And surprising thing, I never got seasick. And the other thing I can remember on that is the meals. We used to, like breakfast, they'd give us a pail. You have to go with that pail into another room, and they would fill it with oatmeal, another pail, coffee, and you'd take it back to the guys. And we would eat, take it out of the pails.
So they would put like 1 tablespoon in a pail, or was your one serving in the pail?
It's a pail. I guess they were about that big around and about that tall with a handle on it, to carry it. And we I remember the oatmeal and I remember the coffee.
And that was your meal? I mean, each man
that was like
had,
breakfast.
Okay, each man had a pail.
You would take you took it out of the pail. You got it for your whole squad.
Oh, okay.
You got it for the whole squad. I can still remember that. That's what I still remember about that ship, and that's about it. But that's supposed to have been a ship that was built before World War I or during World War I. In other words, it was an old one.
You talked about being on guard duty on the ship.
Yeah.
Why did you do?
I don't know why.
Why you did? Was it just to keep y'all busy?
I guess it's so. They have us doing something. Because I can remember, I think it was on that because I came back on a troop ship. And I don't think at that time they had us doing that. It could have been on one of them, but I don't remember which ship it was on.
Do you remember, were there any battleships that accompanied y'all?
I don't recall seeing any of them. But there was a convoy. There was other ships in there. In other words, there were probably destroyers and such floating in through there. But we were a nice, slow convoy. And we finally made it over to England.
What was your first impressions of England?
My first impression? I don't know, because we landed, I can't even remember getting off there. I enjoyed it there. We were there for a short period of time, about a month, I guess, something like that. And I can remember Tidworth, where we all slept in tents. And that was actually the home of the, I think it was the 101st Airborne. One of the Airbornes was actually, that was their permanent camp before they went over to France. That I remember. Then I remember taking some side trips like to Bath, England. I went to London, a couple other spots there. I don't remember too much about it, except for, it wouldn't be for pictures I have of it. I wouldn't know, can't remember. I don't know why it is that way.
When you think of getting to France, what is the first thing you remember about getting to Le Havre?
I remember we got off of the LSIs. That's the Atlantic Ship Infantry. You walk down the gangplanks that come off the side. I remember that. And I think we camped out that first night somewhere, but I'm not even, it's vaguely in my mind, but I don't recall whether we did or not. And that was about it as far as getting off the boats.
What was your first battle?
First battle. Oh, first battle was Rohrbach, I think, yeah. That was, I was in a mortar squad. And I carried mortar ammunition, like in bags. It's a slip over front. You carry about 4 or 5 in the front, 4 or 5 in the back. And we took the town more or less, and we got shelled by what they tell me was our own artillery or totanks. I don't know which. There was a number of the guys were killed. And a little further down the road, they told us to rest, so we rested. I took the thing off my back. I heard stuff rattling in there. So I didn't know what it was. I started checking each of the ammunition because the mortar round comes in a, well, I guess it was cardboard case, a round cardboard case. And I got to one round, and there was a hole in the case. And they were shaking it up. There was a piece of shrapnel in there. It hit the fuse. If it had gone down about 2 more inches from there, it would hit the powder and probably blow me to pieces. And at that time, I asked my sergeant, what should I do with this thing? He said, leave it. I just left it on the ground. And we took off from there.
Oh, my. How much did, boy, that was a close call, wasn't it?
It was. That was one of them.
Wow. How much was it kind of like a vest or a knapsack, or,
Yeah,
and how
well,
much did it weigh?
It's
Describe
a
it.
bag, actually, you could say. It just went over the shoulders, and then there was a bag in front, and I can just put these canisters, I guess you call them, in there, which had the mortar rounds in them.
But there weren't separate pockets. It was like just an open bag. And
An open bag, yeah. And you put them in there.
What do you think they weighed?
I don't know. Each round each mortar shell must have been a couple pounds. It wasn't that heavy. In other words, I never complained about carrying the thing, where it was heavy. I don't think anybody ever did. It was what I had to do, carry the mortar ammunition.
Besides the ammunition that you had, what other, did you carry rifles, handguns?
Yeah, I had a carbine.
Okay.
And carried carbine ammunition. One belt of that, and that was all that I carried. That was enough.
What do you remember the Maginot Line? You went to Rohrbach, and then you moved on up to the Maginot Line?
We more or less moved through it. You could see some. Could I remember anything about it? No, really. I think I remember those concrete blocks, but I'm not sure that I did, or just because I've seen so many pictures of it. I might be thinking I remember it, but I don't recall offhand anything particular about it.
When you look at your whole war experience, what is the one thing that happened to you that's just sort of impressed in your mind? When you think about World War II, you just go, that's the first story that comes to your mind.
I don't know. I don't think there is a first story. Because I don't know about the one with the ammunition. That I know. And I guess the other one is Herlisheim. I remember that a little bit.
Tell me about that. Tell me what you remember of that.
Well, we were behind the lines somewhere. And I was supposed to be on guard duty that night, from I think 12 to 2. I decided, I'm not going to go to sleep because I have to get right up, so I didn't go to sleep. And about 1 o'clock, somewhere like that, they said, everybody out, we're moving up. So we got in our vehicles and we moved up, and I didn't sleep all that night. And the next day we went into action. I didn't do any sleeping again. The next night, and then that night, we still went into advancing again. And the shells were coming in on us, so we stopped and we laid down. Yeah, I went to sleep. All the shells laying around me. I'm easy to go to sleep. I can go to sleep on just like that even today. And the time to move up, the guy behind me woke me up and said, let's go. Wouldn't have for that, everybody behind me would have still been there. But that I remember. Oh, the other thing I remember too, at Rohrbach, when we dug foxholes, I guess the water table was so high that the water just kept seeping up, and we had to keep using our helmets to bail out all the water. And where we got to Herlisheim, the ground was so frozen, we couldn't dig. So a couple of guys had picks, and we had to send it, take turns using the picks to get into the ground. That I can remember. And what else? I remember advancing, going to what's known as the powerhouse, back and forth. They're attacking. Wouldn't be for airplanes. I don't know what would have happened for us. Because we had, I understood we had a Air Corps man with us. And every time they would attack, he would call in aircraft. And they would come in and take care of the German tanks coming at us. And that lasted about 4 days, I think, over there. Our outfit, anyway, because the whole division was on that line longer than we were. But we lost a lot of men that day, those 4 days. And I can remember.
What company are you in of the 17th?
I was in Charlie Company, the mortar squad, 3rd Platoon.
Of the men that you started with at Barclay, how many of you ended up together at the end of the war?
Most of us. I don't think we lost anybody. I don't know why. One man after, I think one, maybe two, after Rohrbach went back, they were shipped back because of trench foot. That's where the water was seeping up out of the ground from the foxholes all the time, and we didn't have the right shoes for that type of, and so feet got all wet, soaked, and this spread, grew like more or less, and you couldn't even get your shoes off. A lot of times, especially when you had trench foot, they had to cut off their shoes, I think, to get, and we lost their men. At Herlisheim, I don't think we lost a single man in our squad. We were fortunate there. But after Herlisheim, I guess they must have had some bad communications. So they decided that they're going to form a wire squad. That's a late telephone wire between like battalion headquarters and combat, different ones. So they picked different guys, I think 3 from each platoon or each company. I don't know how it went. I was one of them. So I went during the rest of the war, after Herlisheim, until it was over, I was with a wire squad. I didn't see any real action after Herlisheim.
Were y'all in front? No, wait a minute. Where did the wire squad work?
In from the back. In other words, you would lay wire like from battalion headquarters to company headquarters, or from like the combat command headquarters to, let's say, battalion headquarters. Like that. We'd lay wire all the time. Most of it at nighttime when everybody stopped for the night.
Okay. I have not talked to anyone who's ever laid wire.
Oh, there wasn't that many of us. It was in our squad. In other words, we only had actually one squad. I think there was about 10 of us, all there was. We had 2 half tracks, and we carried all the wire. And, but that was, there wasn't that many of us. About 10 of us, all there was.
Tell me about what kind of wire you used, and I tell you what, just act like I don't know anything about this.
It's regular.
And you tell me about being...
It's just a regular double-strand wire is all it is. Regular wire. There's nothing different. All you got to one end, you hook it up to a telephone, and the other one maybe to a switchboard or another telephone where they can call and talk to each other.
What were the distances of between there? Was it a mile or 2 miles?
Sometimes, probably no more than 2 miles. I would say probably closer to a mile. You never went too much further. The only thing that bothered us a lot of times was our own tanks would run over our wire, and we have to go back and splice them again. The communications were bad.
Did you just lay them on the ground? You just
Most of it, yes. Yes. We just had a little thing that the wire's on. You just take it, start walking, and it rolls off of you. And all you did, you got to the end, and you hook it to a telephone in their headquarters. There they could talk back.
How big, like if you had a roll of wire, how many feet or miles?
Probably about 1,000 feet on a roll, I would say. I don't remember how much, but it wasn't that big of a roll. It was maybe that big around, but I would say about probably a good 1,000 feet.
When you crossed rivers and stuff like that, what did you do? Just stop it and then start it once you got back over on the other side?
We never laid them across rivers. In other words, the whole outfit was either there, never on both sides of the river at one time. That was just our combat command. There may have been in the other combat commands, there may have been also some wire squads. I don't know. But so far, I haven't met any of the guys that were in those squads. I would like to.
Y'all were a very elite group, weren't you?
Yeah.
Okay. So you went across Europe laying the wires and things?
Well, not across it, but part of it, yeah.
Y'all's part, y'all did.
Uh-huh.
You did. Did you feel pretty protected? I mean, not being on the front lines, or?
No, because a lot of times they tell us lay the wire to this town. They're there, and they say they got about 4 or 5 of the houses, and the rest of them is the Germans in there. They said go on the fire. You don't know where they're at in the town. You just got to walk down the street, whoever's the lead man, just walk straight down there and hope you're in the right place. And if you're in the right place, you'll get challenged and you can give them a pass when you're there. If not, I don't know what you do.
What the lead man, what was his job? Did he have a rifle or something and kind of?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just, in other words, leading the way, go which way to go. And sometimes with me, sometimes with somebody else. In other words, more or less, I think, take turns at it. Because you never knew a lot of times like that where you're going, especially if you only had part of the town, Germans had the other part of it. You didn't know which section you were getting into. You're just going down the road.
When you said, I think you mentioned when I get there, give them the password?
Yeah, you got the password. You challenged by someone. You say like day. Halt. Who's there? What's the password? You say day. The guy has to say like night. You have 2 words like that, and you have passwords like that. It changed probably every night.
Who changed the passwords? How did y'all know what the passwords?
Probably somebody in division. I would imagine it wouldn't. I don't think it would be down in small groups, because if you got one area and you wind up in another area coming back, you have to know the password. Probably is up and down the line quite a bit.
I've been told that sometimes there were Germans that would speak English or they would infiltrate. Did you ever experience
Never ran into them. No, I heard about it. Well, I've seen a lot of it on television, especially when they talk about the Battle of the Bulge. So I heard about it. I never ran into it.
Was there any close calls that you had while you were unusual happenings when you were laying wire?
No. One of the guys I know was shot at when he was up on a telephone pole, and he came down, but nothing to me. I was fortunate, I guess.
So did y'all go into Colmar also?
Yeah. I was with the wire squad then. But we went into practically every town that I don't remember them, no. because usually it was way at night and during the day. I don't remember hardly any towns. I know I got pictures of me being in towns, and I know that in cities. I look at the picture and it tells me on the back where I was at, and I can't remember even being at them. I guess I was, though.
I guess so. What was, and you don't remember any difficult times or in trying to get the wires through or anything like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank goodness for that.
Okay. When the war started, oh, I know. What did you do when y'all, when you spearheaded for Patton? Were you still on foot, or did y'all get on y'all's half tracks and just travel the 59 miles also?
Got in the half track and went.
You just went?
Uh-huh. Yeah, we were back more or less with the battalion headquarters, not in the front part of the line at that time. But when you travel that fast, so it didn't make any difference when you're going down the road, because you got very seldom with you bothered by the soldiers. It was more or less aircraft. There was a couple of times the Germans, the plane would come down. They wouldn't come down the column, they just cut across it. And I guess it was too much anti-aircraft fire would come off the column. I can remember a couple of times planes coming over like that, but that's about it.
Now, on your half tracks, y'all did have some anti-aircraft guns, didn't you?
I had a machine gun on there. In other words, each half track had a machine gun. Either it could be a regular 30, it could be a water-cooled 30, it could have been a 50. So there was also anti-aircraft half tracks.
What, you just mentioned a water-cooled, did you mention a water-cooled gun?
A water-cooled gun, yeah,
Yeah,
machine gun, water-cooled.
Tell me about that, the water-cooled
Well,
gun.
the barrel is about this big. The machine gun's right in the center of it, and then you use water to cool. The water you put in there, it keeps the gun cool. In other words, you shoot a lot more ammunition without getting hot.
Was there a cylinder that you poured water in?
Into, yeah.
Okay.
You know, that gun would fire longer without getting real hot because of the water. After a while, you could boil water in there, actually. Or a regular machine gun, if you keep going, you just burn out the barrel.
When it was time to change the water, did it have did it just evaporate it up, or?
There's a little hole, I think, if I remember right, I think it was in the front of it. You just poured it down, poured more water into it. Because the one we had on our half track was not a water cooler, it was a regular 30 caliber machine gun, so I never worried about the water cooled one.
When it was coming to the end of the war, what are your memories of that, or how did you find out that the war was ending?
Well, you knew it was ending because of where you were going. In other words, we kept going. We actually got into Austria. But you knew that the Germans couldn't last much longer. If we were that far in, the troops must be such as far in as we were. So you more or less knew it. And then when it was all over, word came down the line. War's over.
Do you remember your feelings when you heard that?
No, but I'm sure I was elated, though. I'm sure I was elated. I think everybody was. There would be no more fighting. That's what we thought. Then a lot of us knew we were going to go over to probably fight the Japanese. So.
How did you feel about that, the thought of going to Japan? Or in the Pacific?
I don't know. I didn't really give it much thought. We knew it was going to happen, but I guess you say you're here over here and you're not there yet, so you don't really think too much about it.
When the war ended, how many points did you have? Do you remember?
Oh, no. I did not have enough points to actually stay over there. In other words, I should have been one of the last ones, I guess, to leave. But for some reason, I guess maybe I was one of them that's destined to go over to fight Japan. I don't know. But I was one of the first ones, more or less, to leave. Because I know when we were coming back, we were on the troop ship in the Atlantic when word came out of dropping of the first atomic bomb. In fact, we didn't even know what it was. But then I think I was already back in the States. In fact, I was heading home on furlough when word came out that Japan had surrendered. So I was in the States already.
You mentioned about you heard about the atomic bomb, but you didn't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember y'all talking about it, or what did y'all think about it?
That's it, that we didn't know what it was.
Just there's some kind of bomb that they...
Yeah, a new type of bomb. We just figured, something new. In other words, all we could think of, what do we learn in school about physics, about atoms, but, you never thought about, they would split the atom and what they would do, anything like that. We just knew it was a big bomb.
But it kept you from going to the Pacific, didn't it?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
The trip back over, was it pretty uneventful, or did y'all hit storms, or?
No, it was uneventful. It was a regular troop ship. It was built to carry troops. It had regular bunks stacked on top of each other, and a regular mess hall and everything where you could go in and eat. So different from the Empress of Australia. Yeah. That much I can remember about it.
When you think of your war experiences, is there some things that you found out about yourself or lessons you learned that has helped you throughout your life?
Nothing that I can think of offhand. Learn to help others, but I always did that anyway, so I don't know. I don't think I learned anything more particular. I guess I learned a lot and don't realize it.
Have you had continued relationships with some of the guys in your squad, or?
Not. I have talked. One of the guys, when we came back from overseas, I stood up for one of the guys at his wedding. In fact, he married a girl that I graduated high school with. But I don't know, nothing particular.
When did you find out about the 12th Armored Division Association?
Boy, that was... I found out about it. You look a lot of times in the paper, and they have reunions. And usually they're high school reunions. But a lot of times they have military reunions in there, too. That's where I saw it. And it happened just a couple years ago, and it happened again in St. Louis, which was my home. So that's how I found out about it. So I went to it. That was my first one.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, then you come here and you see guys, my God. You remember the name, but you can't place the face anymore.
So you're kind of a newcomer, huh?
More or less, yes.
Okay. Where were you, where did you go before, where were you released from the Army? What camp did you go to?
Fort Knox. Fort Knox. That was something too there. First I went, came back, they threw me with some engineers, and that was for about a month. Then after that they had me doing guard duty down there at Fort Knox. They had a lot of prisoners of war, German prisoners of war were down there. So most of us, they also had their guys that were in basic training. And they were real, They're learning something new, and we didn't care anymore. We were so different from them day and night. We just like meet with them. They wouldn't even have time to talk with us. And when we'd meet with the other guy from our house, we'd stop there at the corners and talk with each other instead of walking back and forth. That I remember. Then we got released from there.
What was what was it like for the Germans to be prisoners of war? How were they treated?
Oh, they enjoyed it.
Did they?
They had it better than they ever had. Oh, yeah, they had it real good. Because all we did was walk around the fence. That's all we did, and they had around them. They let them out during the day, I think, to do work around them. So there was no real problem. The war was over now. What do you care? Didn't make any difference.
Do you know, you hear a lot of things about the SS troops, how mean they were and vicious and stuff. Were there many of those SS troops that ended back up in the United States? Or
no. I don't think a lot of them even got here. A lot of them, I think, if they were captured, they were probably shot. Because you heard about that going on all the time. But I didn't, I think, run into any of them that I could talk about that I knew of SS troops. The only thing I can remember at the end of the war, when it comes to that, the Germans were surrendering day and night. I mean, so many of them you really couldn't keep track of them. And they had, I guess they captured a bunch of generals. There was about 7 or 8 of them. And they had our war squad guarding them. And when it came time to feed them, we didn't know what the heck to give them. So we gave them our old sea rations. I mean the old stuff, the stuff that we didn't even want to eat anymore because it didn't have that much taste. And the Germans enjoyed it. And I could see why. Because we had a can or two of the German type of sea rations, and we opened them up. And it looked like it was a can of almost solid fat. It looked horrible. We wouldn't even tell, we threw them away. We didn't want to even taste them. But, hey, I brought that up. I didn't even remember about that.
on the SS troops, you mentioned that most of them would have been shot if they were caught.
Mm-hmm.
What was it about those? Describe what you felt that the SS troops were, and how they were perceived by Americans.
They were seen as killers, I think, more than anything else. And you just killed them, that was it. At least that's what they tell me. A lot of them did. They'd walk them into the woods, and you'd hear some shooting, and that was it. And these guys would come back. But I didn't see any of it, but I heard about it.
Were they, so did y'all perceive them as being kind of vicious,
Yeah.
inhuman people?
Yeah. Yes.
Were you, I haven't asked you this, were you in any way involved with the prison camps or anything?
I was not. No, our squad did not. Well, at that time, I was with the war squad. And we saw, as we were traveling, we could see all the, most of them, I guess, were Russians with their striped suit uniform, I guess, that they used, black and white stripes. We would see them all the time walking along the highway when we were going down the Autobahn. And we had, on the side of our half track, we were loaded with so much food, K rations, we would just throw them out to them, give them something to eat. And we were loaded with so much food that we couldn't, there's no way we could ever eat it ourselves. So we threw them out and gave it to them. We didn't know who they were. We just knew that they were former prisoners.
I'm sorry, you just got me thinking about what that was like for them and y'all to sit there and to watch those people.
Yeah, we would go down. We would by the prison of our camps there. All we would do was traveling down the Audubon, and we were going at quite fast speeds too, because there was nothing there. Everything was surrendering to us. There was very little fighting going on toward the end.
Well, is there anything I've left out talking to you?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm trying to think, is there anything I haven't covered? One thing I don't know, I don't have a good feel on, at what point did they put your squad as the wireline? How long, was that after Rohrbark, or was that in February?
This was right after Herlisheim.
Okay, so that was January?
January.
And so from January on, to May,
Until the end of the war, and after that, as soon as the war was over, I went back to my regular mortar squad. Because they didn't need those anymore.
Yeah. Okay, well, I don't know of anything else I can ask you.
I can't think of anything else to tell you.
Well, you've given me some really some good stories and some good memories. So I really appreciate you getting out early this morning and coming and talking to us.
That's okay.
Thank you.